All right, so this is a project I've wanted to do for quite a while, and this is just kind of the first in the series. But everything around my design, often I like making items that go in the water, are for scuba diving or boats or other things. One of the things that we need to do is figure out how to make items watertight. And so I've scoured the internet, scoured YouTube. Everything I can find on watertight 3D prints has pretty much been focusing on um, coatings that you can put on FDM prints. So I was trying to figure that out, realized that really wasn't what I wanted to do. So I designed a pressure vessel, as you can see in Fusion 360 here, exported it, and I decided I was going to go outside the normal and I was going to go ahead and resin print it. So I use an ABS like resin from Sunlu, and I wanted to see, could I actually hold any sort of pressure in a vessel? And if I could hold a pressure, what was that pressure? And what were my failure points? You know, is this a one-step project where it's going to work the first time? I highly doubted it. I expected to have leaks all over the place. Or is this something where, you know, we go through multiple iterations and try and get it working? So this is beginning the resin print here. I used, again, my Sunlu ABS resin. I'll list that in the description below for you guys. And just use generic settings for it. And I was a little concerned that with my supports that it wouldn't stick to the build plate, but what I ended up doing is using medium support, so it left a lot of imperfections on the surface, but I really don't care because I'm just worried about structural integrity of the part. I don't care what it looks like, because I was worried that you get a vacuum structure when it was put on the build plate, as you can see right here. So 4 hours later, my part was done. Just went ahead and peeled it off of the build plate here, and it's one of the most satisfying things to take a resin print off of the build plate and just hear that Velcro-like sound. When I had this part, after it was fully cured, I put it in, or sorry, before it was cured, I put it in the resin washing station. And yes, I know my washing station is extremely dirty. I apologize. I just haven't had time to filter it out and get rid of all the gunk and sediment that's settling in there. So feel free to comment and criticize, but it is what it is. One thing I will say is when printing a hollow sphere like this, I had to make sure that I got the isopropyl alcohol inside of the sphere, and then even after I was done rinsing it, I used my gloves, filled it up half with isopropyl alcohol, half with air, and so I was able to shake it and get a lot of agitation on the inside.
All right, so now that we have this 3D printed, I know it looks like my wife texted me today and said, did you make a cartoon bomb? I'm not trying to make a bomb, I just wanted a pressure sphere. Try and say that 5 times fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pressure sphere, and then for a couple bucks off Amazon, I got a 1/4 inch NPT thread or tap, and so I'm actually going to attempt to tap this resin printed product, and then what we're going to do is we're going to thread in a pneumatic fitting, and we're gonna see if we can hold some pressure with this thing. So sorry, I don't actually do large diameter taps that often, so I'm probably gonna make a mistake, and I definitely don't have the right tap holder. So I'm just gonna give it a shot. It appears to be going in, so let's keep going. So with the NPT threads, they're actually a tapered thread. So it's very loose when you first start threading in your fitting, and then all the threads touch and get tight at the same time. So let's see what that looks like. So it's actually getting there. I might do a little bit more just to get it down to the bottom. Yeah, since it's a resin printed part, I'm sure there's some sort of cutting assistant fluid or something that I could be using. I don't know what reacts with the resin, and I really don't want to mess this guy up just by adding the wrong cutting fluid to it. Little pieces hanging out in there. Doesn't look half bad. Let's try and use a little tubing, get some of that out. All right, so now I have 1/4" NPT little fitting. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in. So we're just gonna do a little bit of a pressure test to start. To be honest, when I go higher, I took this off the laser machine, so it's not supposed to be used for this. So when I go higher pressures, I'm actually gonna fill it with water before doing it to make sure that if it explodes, it's not going to destroy me. And then it would be a little cartoon bomb. Okay. So there we are. 20 PSA. 20 PSI, let's go up to 30. Feels like the whole hose is getting stiff. So 30 PSI is pretty good. That's 2 atmospheres. If I were in a pressure chamber, obviously this is backwards, but if I were to take this underwater, 30 PSI is about 2 atmospheres, a little over 2 additional atmospheres, so that's the equivalent of like 66 feet deep. So I'm actually going to get a fish tank, put this thing underwater, see if it bubbles at all. Boom! Thank you, betta fish, for not surviving too long. Okay, so I'm going to bleed off the pressure from this. So now we're all the way down at 0. We have our sketchy cartoon bomb. We're going to drop this in. Let me reposition this guy so we can see it a little bit. Okay. So right now, obviously no leaking, 0 PSI. I'm going to go ahead and go up to 10 PSI. That's 14.7. That's 1 atmosphere right there, 1 additional atmosphere, so that's the equivalent of like 30 feet. 20 PSI, just shy of 30 PSI. That's 66 feet of ocean pressure if it were coming from the outside. I know this is going inside out, but still no leaking, 100% airtight, which is pretty crazy. So now we're gonna go up to, let's see what we can do. That's 40, 45. So that's 3 atmospheres. That's nearly, that's 96 feet, 99 feet. Four atmospheres. It's equivalent of 120 feet, somewhere around there. Ooh, 60 PSI. Oh, if this explodes, it'll make for a better video. Let's be honest. That's 80 PSI right there. 0 bubbles, except for I had 1 come up the neck of the bottle. I can hear the pressure regulator leaking. One of my fittings. Okay, so we're starting to get some bubbles forming at the neck, but that's just a thread tape issue. Nothing on the seams. That is it for what I have this compressor running at. I could adjust the pressure set point. But just to show that this actually works, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this So you can see, I'm going to pop it down to mostly 0. So same shot, watch. 100% watertight 3D print. That's amazing. Let's see if we can make this thing thinner so we can explode it.